Hello and welcome to another episode of Bell Financial Group's From the Helm series. I'm Grady Wulff, Market Analyst with Bell Financial Group. As demand grows for copper and gold, and we're truly in a bull run for both at the moment, there's no better time to consider investment in copper and gold. And what a better way to bring this edition to you than with a special edition of our From the Helm series for pre-IPO with Clive Donner, Executive Chairman of LinQ Minerals, which is set to hit the market very soon. So without further ado, let's dive straight into this From the Helm series to discuss LinQ Minerals' outlook, their IPO, and exactly what investors can expect when the company hits the market. Clive, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks, Grady.
Now, let's first start with what the story behind LinQ Minerals is, where your assets are, and why investors might be excited about the upcoming IPO.
Sure. The tenement position is in Macquarie Arc in New South Wales, which is in the Lachlan Fold Belt, which is home to some of the largest mines in Australia, and a frenetic activity of about 20 juniors, all looking for copper and gold and drilling their tenements. So essentially we're in the right real estate, tier one jurisdiction, and we have a very large tenement position with a large resource. Essentially, we've got north, central, and south in our tenement block, and we're focused on the central and southern areas of our tenement position. Yeah. So the uniqueness of what we've got is that this tenement position and its projects have never come to market as a project,
which we often see for
Correct.
A lot of miners.
You get a lot of recycled tenements and new owners, etc. This tenement position over the last 40 years has been fragmented and held piecemeal by majors in different copper and gold price environments. And it wasn't really until last 10 or 15 years that it ended up sitting in mid-tier producers who focused on other things. So we're very lucky that we've ended up with a very large, valuable position in two core metals today, which are very sought after, copper and gold.
Now, they are the commodities of the minute, but how did you get to land this tenement that you're talking about? It's never been to market before, and how did you get so lucky, as you just mentioned, to have not only the tenement itself, but the infrastructure nearby that you've talked about in your presentation?
Well, I guess you make your own luck, for starters. The reality is that we were working and looking at some assets in the Sandfire, and they pivoted to acquiring production assets in Spain and Botswana, and a lot of their projects and exploration assets in Australia were essentially going to be moved on, and we were there early, and we were able to secure this project.
Now, junior companies are all about the team, especially in mining. A lot of people follow different management around. Can you tell us about the individuals involved in LinQ Minerals and their backgrounds and why it's so credible and such a great team behind their name?
Sure. Well, we've got a good mix of experienced people and a really strong geological team, and we've got a team that is able to execute developments. So we're quite well balanced. The geological team really is the key focus over the next couple of years, because we're going to be drilling fiercely in the central and the southern zones, and we have fortunately got 2 out of 3 geologists who've actually had 16 plus years with this project. So we've got continuity, we got an understanding, we can save money in drilling where we think we should be drilling and not wasting money in structures we're unfamiliar with. So we've got continuity. The third geologist is a valuable individual who was accredited with the discovery of Cadia. John Holliday, and he's joined the team, and he has very good skill sets in geology, and has effectively spent a good chunk of his life in the Macquarie Arc. So I think our team is very rounded. It's very specific to the area that we're operating in. 2 out of 3 of them actually live 2 to 3 hours from the project.
That helps.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, talking about post-IPO, we know IPO is upcoming. Post-IPO, you did mention that aggressive drilling strategy. What can we expect on a news flow front, and how soon can we expect that?
Well, I think as soon as we're capitalized, we want to be on the ground drilling, and we're ready, getting organized for that.
Yeah.
And I think because we've got such a great belt of plus 20 targets for drilling, plus 6 resource JORC deposits, we've got so much to choose from in terms of where to start. We've had to refine our thinking about where we want to drill and what we're looking for. So we're going to be drilling in the south. We got a 6K strike with two deposits there with 3 other targets. And we're going to be drilling in the central zone, where we got 4 or 5 very impressive targets and 1 deposit that all have mineralization.
Talking about mining and drilling, investors want to hear about the grades that you're seeing. So we've had some grades, some intersections such as 25 meters at 9 grams per ton, 1% copper at 150 meters. Talk to me about these grades and how they compare to the industry.
Well, I think first of all, you have to recognize we're in a porphyry belt, and anything 0.5% copper equivalent is generally economic. And we've got an entire central and southern zone at 0.5 copper equivalent, and we've got a gold project which is 1% or close to 1%, and that could actually turbocharge anything we do going forward. Well, we got some spectacular grades in the southern zone. For example, we got 40 meters at 2.8, 100 meters at 2.1, and 34 meters at 3. This is in the southern zone. We've got 25 meters at 9 grams a ton. We've got 14 at 6.5, 9 meters at 2.7, etc. So we've got large meters, good grades, looks like good continuity, and what we've got to do is drill either side of those areas that have turned up very good grades and see whether we can expand on that and pull it all together. So that's in the southern zone. In the central zone, we've got potential grades that are also spectacular, one of which is 150 meters at just over 1% copper and 0.75 grams per ton gold, which, in a sense is a very rich zone at 100 meters, if you were to look at both of them. And that includes nearly 13 meters at 9% copper and over 6 grams per ton gold. These are generally reasonably shallow intersections. So luckily, a lot of the drilling that we've got results on have all been relatively shallow. And I should add that some of the bigger mines in the district, like Cadia, they're at 1.9 kilometers deep. Cowal is at about 800, and Evolution is over 1 kilometer, and all with similar grades. So they all started open pittable 30 years ago, and they're still going. So we've really got a generational asset in a tier 1 jurisdiction of scale. The
right place at the right time.
Yeah.
So in raising 7.5 to 10 million via IPO, how much of that can we expect to be into the ground, and what are your applications of the money?
We would expect to spend at least half of that in the ground. And we're ready to go.
Yeah, ready to start drilling.
Correct.
Yeah, the campaigns are ready. Now, why is New South Wales so attractive for our investors who may not understand the difference between New South Wales mining for gold and copper as opposed to WA, the tier 1 jurisdiction?
Well, I think the big difference is that native title is essentially extinguished, or less of an issue in the East Coast than it is in the West Coast. And secondly, the West Coast, depending on where you're mining, generally lacks infrastructure, and companies have to build everything. Whereas in New South Wales, particularly in the Macquarie Arc, there's plenty infrastructure availability. You're dealing with land that is actually owned by farmers who generally give you access to their farms to drill. And in the case of Western Australia, it's predominantly Crown land.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are some subtle differences, and there are some geological differences. You get more copper in this side of Australia, and certainly copper gold. And there are only 3 places in Australia you get, which we regard as elephant country, and Macquarie Ark is number 1.
Amazing. Yeah. So talking about the shareholders registry right now, can you talk to us about the state of that, majority shareholders, how much shares are in escrow right now, and what you can expect after the IPO?
Well, I think subject to discussions with the ASX and the regulators down the track, we think we'll end up with over 90% of the register escrowed, so it'll be very tight.
Wow.
And essentially the major shareholder is my family. Within the IPO, my family is committing up to $1 million in this raise, so we're firmly behind it.
Yeah.
We've spent money keeping this alive and building the position, improving the resource, and undertaking other studies. We're 66% shareholder of this.
Wow.
Yeah.
So investors like to hear that founders believe in the story and believe in what they're doing, not just selling off their shares or having a tiny holding. So that is a fantastic...
We've got too much to fail.
That is a fantastic outcome for investors. They love that founders own equity in it as well, because that means the passion is there and the belief is there as well.
Absolutely.
So finally, investor appetite is really rebounding and finally rebounding for growth in areas and high risk stocks like explorers. So why does this fundamental make LinQ Minerals a compelling investment in this current day and age?
Well, I think we've got a lot of choice in our portfolio. We've got a brownfields gold project in the south that we can start with. We've got unfinished drilling and tenements in the southern and central and northern zones that we can drill. The market likes to see drilling, and we're all chasing grade and copper intrusives. So essentially, when you're getting 100 meters at ore grade in drill holes, and you're getting enough of those, you're onto something that's likely to hang together. So investors will ultimately be able to compare our valuation with those others in the district. There are 2 or 3 around us like Waratah and Legacy, and they're also chasing copper intrusives. So the argument is we've not only got a large resource and defined targets, we've got a brownfields project that we will continue to look at feasibility work in the background, but our focus will be on drilling.
Yeah, so copper and gold, with a gold run underway right now and copper demand expected to continue growing with undersupply, it's definitely a compelling opportunity in the market as soon as LinQ Minerals hits the market. So Clive, thank you so much for joining us today. And I really hope you enjoyed that episode of From the Helm as much as I did filming it. A name to watch, LinQ Minerals, coming up in the near future. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Grady.